Well, hello again, folks. This is another episode of More Than a Refresh, the T3D Sessions. Today we have Alan Chavez. Alan, what are we talking about today?
Hey JB, thanks for having me. Today we're talking about growth engineering and how we are using it at my product studio to launch different products, how we measure success, and how we go, how we make decisions of either ship or no ship a particular solution.
All right, so growth engineering, how and the way you're making decisions. Business runs on data, right? You need to analyze your data and make sure that data, one, is accurate, and B, that data hopefully can be trusted so that you can make your decisions. Uh, how does that work with what you're trying to, engineer?
Okay. Yeah, so basically, like you said, we start collecting data. And typically, when you talk about growth, you analyze it across different axes. So you have retention, you have acquisition, you have activation. So we do a lot of work around retention and activation. So acquisition is typically how do you get users onboarded into your products. But retention is essentially what drives acquisition, and that's definitely what decides whether a particular product can actually be a business or is just going to be a novelty product. So when you have a solid retention curve, is just it's a good signal that you may actually have a business in that particular product. So retention is, there are like surface level metrics on retention. Like you have your retention curves, like maybe your 7-day curve, your 14-day curve, your 30-day curve, and you can see how often, what percentage of users come back to use your product on the 7th day and the 14th day and the 30th day. So that's good. A lot of teams track that, but I think a lot of teams overlook the another important metric, which is activation, and that's where we put a little bit more science behind it. So activation, I don't know, a lot of it's different for each company. So I was formerly at Facebook, and Facebook is known as once you friend 7 people, you're gonna stick around for years in the platform. So that's why when you create a new Facebook account, the first thing that Facebook does is like, hey, these are people you may know, add 7 friends to the platform, and we're going to unlock more features for you. So the entire onboard experience goes around the activation metric of adding 7 friends in 30 days. So,
okay, hold on. I want to interject here. And please don't misunderstand. I understand what you're saying, but your pitch, okay, because that's what it is. It's a pitch. I can't help but say to myself, I am so grateful that he hasn't said, and we use AI for your activation and retention process. Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, if you look at any platform, there's a lot of people that don't use Facebook anymore. But guess what? They still have a Facebook account, and they won't delete that Facebook account because, like, for example, I will admit I use Facebook for 2 things and 2 things only. One, for the marketplace. It's just a great place to find used goods, so I'm not consistently, feeding the beast. And 2, I do have 137 dear friends that is the only way we communicate. That's it. Not email, not phone. And so every once in a while I log in and I have Facebook. And that's because of exactly what you just said. There's a metric that was met, the research was done, the decision was made based on the data that the research was done on. And now, whether we like it or not, for good or bad, the largest connecting platform in the world is Meta.
Right. It is. Yes.
So how do you now your growth engineering, is this more for, say, your startups or your small businesses that are trying to take off, or is this more for, okay, I have an idea. I'm not even a startup yet. I'm an idea, wondering if I should be a startup.
I mean, honestly, you can use it across all the spectrum of companies, and that's depending on the companies and maturity level you bring to the table. So if you're at the idea phase, of course, like you want to go through validation. And in this case, like surface level metrics, that's typically what you look at. Like how many people are actually paying for your product. Like if that's how you validate it, right? Like if people are willing to part with their money to get your product. So if you have already a product and you already have some customers and you're trying to put some science or some methodology around like, okay, I've already created the product that I want and now I want to take a look at how my users are behaving on my platform. Then you start looking at user analytics and you start like, okay, what are users doing? And that's when you start looking at events. So the stuff that I do, it's, we don't use AI, but we use data science. And basically you have these products like PostHog and, PostHog and Amplitude and Mixpanel.
I can't help it. I had to fist bump because this AI fad, it's literally just a smarter, dumb search engine. And the real work is actually data science and machine learning, right?
It is, yeah. That's what it is. I mean, data science,
So
like the data
basically,
science that I do. Mhm.
AI is what the cloud was in 2012 or 2010. Because, for example, we've had virtual hosting for decades. And then sometimes, somewhere, a marketing person who just had some urgency, they had to pee or something, and they came up with the term cloud. And now everybody calls it cloud, but there's nothing new about it.
No, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah. And, if an AI by itself, I think a lot of people focus a lot on LLMs, which is a flavor of AI. But if you're literal with definition of AI, you could also like maybe encompass a little bit of data science and machine learning in there as well, depending how liberal you are with the definition of AI.
Well, I don't even know if it's liberal because it's more like the father of or the parents of, right? The parents of the marketing term, where all the scam artists are right now,
Right.
is the hardworking, the railroad workers of the industry, which are the data scientists and the machine learners.
Yeah, absolutely right. And some of the things that I do is essentially when I go to these platforms like Mixpanel, I take a look at the events, I export them all into a CSV, and then I already have a Python script, and I look at the CSV, and I just start looking at the correlation, like there are algorithms like Pearson correlation and all the types of correlations, so I can very scientifically say or deterministically say when a user on your platform does this event, and this event, there is a very strong correlation that you will have a purchase. So therefore, my technical strategy or my experiment is that we can either do this feature or do this model or do this call out or this notification so that we can push the user to perform those three actions so that you can get the desired outcome. So that is growth engineering, and that's the type of work that I specialize in. And mostly it's around retention and activation.
It's interesting because we've been in business since 1997, and we did it the hard way, right? Our data analysis came from how many times this is back in the days when hits on the website meant something, right?
Yes.
And you're doing hits on the website, and then you're trying to correlate that to an IP, where the IP came from. Okay, it came from the United States. That's where we want to see our growth. Or North America, that's where we want to see our growth. And can I compare that to the timing of, say, a press release or a blog post that we put out and do a correlation there? And then you watch the analytics on that post to see, for example, when are the best times to post? A common thing in the industry is you never post on, there's 4 days a week you don't post. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? You always post Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, best Tuesday and Thursday. And then there's a lot of other varying components, but that's when you post. And it depends, right? Because in other markets, it may actually make more sense to post at 6 p.m. on a Friday.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm dealing with 8 to 5 professionals, or at least they're hoping to be 8 to 5 professionals. We're in tech, so you never know.
Yeah.
We're short on time here. What you're doing is actually is fascinating. I'm going to give you one more minute. let me know, talk to me about where's the fruition here, right? You've given me the path, right? And what's obviously the end goal is a sale,
Right.
but it is more complicated than that. It's more thorough than that because one sale is great, but 100 is better.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's that the interesting part is that it's a lot of different outcomes. So, sure, if you're optimizing a particular experiment for sales, you do that. But also, what I care about is retention because when I retain my user for long terms, that means that I have multiple opportunities to sell more. So it's not only one sale, but it could be like upsells or more interventions, so that I can get the people more used into my platform. So that's I mean it's the beauty about this is that you can optimize for any particular outcome you're interested in. But sure, like sales typically dominate, what the outcome is. Obviously, like people want to grow, and grow meaning you oftentimes means growing revenue.
The word retention there, I think, is your strong suit. The fact that you're relying on that because it shows that you actually understand business in a way that a lot of people don't. It's not about having 1 million customers.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having 1,000 customers that pay you every single month.
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
All right, folks, this has been another More Than a Free Refresh T3D Sessions. We look forward to having Alan on again. We've got a lot of different topics that he wants to talk about. And everybody have a great day.